Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you're watching this from. Hi, my name is Vivian Acquah, and I'm a certified DEI consultant, diversity, equity, and inclusion consultant. And I support companies with their DEI initiatives. So if you feel challenged in starting your DEI initiatives, or if you need some training regarding inclusive leadership or unconscious bias, reach out to me for more information. But today we are going to have a conversation about normalizing diverse neurodiversity in the workplace. And I was having a long conversation with Jacinta. Even before this talk, we were like warming up for today's conversation. And I'm really excited to have her on. So Jacinta, can you say something about yourself, what you do, who you are?
Certainly, and I'm so happy to be here, Vivian. What fun. It's going to be a great conversation. I am a certified coach. I'm a certified ADHD specialized coach. I studied for that particularly after my own diagnosis as an adult. And I'm also a trainer. So I work in corporate, helping with this now, the neurodiversity field, opening up the conversation and teaching, helping each other learn. So the neurodiverse and the neurotypicals learn about this field so that there's more understanding in the workforce. And of course, I run my own coaching practice. So I have
Yeah.
individual.
But before we start, because I know that I'm gonna throw a curveball. We are both neurodivergent.
Exactly.
Where I am gonna throw a curveball because there are maybe people on this platform watching this, not knowing, okay, but what is this buzz about neurodiversity
Mm.
and what is this buzz about neurotypical, right? So um I would start with the neurotypical, and I want to leave you with the neurodiverse. So the neurotypical means that the people who don't have any challenges with their the way of thinking with their brain. So let's say that the normalized standard, you are able to fit into a mode, and where it comes with neurodiversity, there's a lot more happening with our brain ourselves, and to support this. I'm gonna show up an
Yeah,
umbrella regarding
great.
neurodiversity. Let's kick off because there's a lot, and there's even so much more that I haven't even added on the umbrella.
Exactly. And this is the thing with the whole word neurodiversity. It's
Yeah,
quite, there's quite a
yeah,
lot. And I work in the field of ADHD, which you've got right up in the corner there.
yeah.
Where's autism spectrum disorder? Autism. Yeah, I don't know. I'm freezing now because all of this, and my girlfriend and I, we just go, oh my God, my brain's exploded, thousand thoughts, I can't think. And we can't
No
get,
worries, no worries. I'm here to help you. So
yeah. So on this
when we are
stuff,
talking
go.
So when we are talking about neurodivergent or neurodiverse people, we are talking about the way that their brains are wired, right? Some people are born with that, with a different wiring within their brain, whereas they might show up with ADHD or autism or dyscalculia. But there are also some people that maybe after an accident or something else has happened within their life that they become they have epilepsy. I have dyslexia, and I've put this image on purpose because I wrote epilepsy in a different way. That's I blame it on my dyslexia, but I also want you to know that there are occasions there that in the past I was penalized for me being dyslexic, me making a mistake, and people thinking that I wasn't able to write well or
Mm.
to read well or to do whatever well, whilst it's a different way of wiring of the brain. Some people have dyscalculia where they are having a hard time with calculating, but also to read the how do you say, the numbers, and framing the numbers in a different way, that it's hard to process, right? So it's
Mm.
important that that we learn more about these different things, and realize that there are so many of us walking around. 15 to 20% of the people of the global population is neurodivergent. So that means that 1 out of 5 of your team, of your colleagues, might be neurodivergent. And I say might be. Why
I'd
do I
say,
say might be?
yeah, I'd say would be, and it possibly is more. And it also,
Yeah,
Yeah, it depends how you define it. So I see you've got a lot of terminology up there that I would not have put in the umbrella, but maybe this is right because I work in a certain
Mhm.
field of expertise.
Yeah.
But yeah, PTSD definitely affects your brain and how it works. The sensory processing disorder is interesting. But yes, let's move on. Otherwise, we're going to be talking about just the category. And I
Yeah.
think today maybe we're dyslexia, or what, autism spectrum disorder, ADHD. If we
We can have them all. We can have them all combined because
definitely,
you know what? We
otherwise,
are going to have a conversation about ourselves, right? So I have dyslexia. That's something that you know. I have misophonia. When
what,
you call me,
yeah, misophonia. What
sorry?
is misophonia?
Yeah,
Can you
so
explain that?
misophonia is when you call me and stand nearby a train station. I don't hear our conversation. All I hear is the harshness of the train passing by.
Wow.
And if somebody's standing within a crowd, I'm having a hard conversation of listening to them as well. It happens at event when an event is too big. I've learned that I need to do an Irish goodbye. I sometimes say goodbye to certain people, but I do disappear because for me it's draining, it's depleting my battery, and not knowing that also know that also I have to recharge my battery. And it takes a
Mm.
longer time when I'm in an environment where it's depleting me, it takes a longer time to charge my batteries.
It's interesting. And one of the things I hope the thread that comes through our conversation is this knowing thyself, know
Yeah,
what drains your battery,
yeah,
honoring that, and
yeah.
go away and rest so you can recharge. And then you're keeping yourself in a place where you
But
thrive at
that's only when you know thyself, right? I mean, as a coach, I have to do a lot of reflection. Sometimes it annoys a
yeah.
lot.
Tell it, yes. Oh, I can't hear you.
Let's
I
reflect on that a little bit.
oh,
I know
sorry.
where it comes from,
I
but
you just your sound just went for a second. I don't know if it was for everybody. Can you repeat that last bit?
yeah, so I know that when I am reflecting, it goes me it how do you say it? It ends up in a loop like, okay, but what could I've done? How can I think of this? What should I do? I often reflect and it's triggered ever since doing the coaching training that reflection is also very valuable. But when it comes to knowing thyself, right? A lot of people are in the workplace not knowing, not realizing that they are neurodivergent. I was
Exactly.
one of them.
Yes, so there's that. But on the other hand, I just want to speak to this idea of, when do you become neurodivergent and when are you normal? And I see it as sort of this big kind of bell curve thing. And
Hmm.
I don't make a distinction, you're there and you're there. We're all
Hmm.
somewhere. And I
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
people that would identify as neurotypical that
Yeah.
that would not, and they are, but I'm like, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Whatever it is in your personality, your character, the way you like to
Yeah.
control your environment, that behavior is a bit over the top or a bit odd or a bit
Mhm.
whatever. But the person would be neurotypical.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so I like to think of us all a big melting pot of wonderfulness, and that we have to learn. Yeah, like I love psychology. I've studied psychology since I could read. And my whole life has been about why do we do what we do? But
Mhm,
for the rest of you, you're not that interested in it. So it's about people like us helping
mhm,
others who are not, we give you the shortcut in understanding your
mhm.
brain. How does it work? What's driving behavior?
Yeah,
And then learning about yourself first and being honest with yourself. Why are you triggered or why are you drained, etc., etc.?
mhm.
What do you need to self-care? And then start thinking about these people out there and going, oh, that was an odd behavior from my colleague. I wonder what that's about, rather than,
Yeah,
gee, he's nasty, or how selfish is he, or making judgment. So it's this being able to first know thyself, then be curious and interested in others. And once
true.
you expand your knowledge, You don't have to be an expert like me. That's my job, but a little bit more knowledge and understanding and compassion, then I see us all working better together. We can all thrive. We're helping each other thrive. That's kind of my philosophy around this. But yes, I
Yes, and
suppose
I also want to bring in that I mentioned that so many of us don't know that we are neurodivergent, right? It happens more to women, more often, where we, at the beginning of the moment that we that we come into this world, we are put in boxes like a woman should behave in that way, a girl should behave in that way. So we are already masking, and then you come to therapists or experts, medical experts, who don't know that neurodivergence shows up different. I have a son, some of you may know him, Orlando. We are on a journey to discover his neurodivergence as well. But being his mom and realizing that some of it, the things that he is doing, I see it back in within myself, but see it back in different ways as well. And um, there is this stigma in society, in the media, with the help of the media, that being neurodivergent means that everybody walks around like Forrest Gump.
Mm.
Being neurodivergent means that everybody's Piano Man. Being neurodivergent means that everybody's Dory. I can be Dory sometimes, and I tell people, like, there's a lot on my mind at the moment right now, and sometimes I do have some unfinished business that I need to attend because of my Dory behavior, right? So we need to be more curious about this topic and ask the questions, read books, do watch
Mm.
series. I know that there are series out there that have been where the neurodivergent lead or the characters have been
Yeah.
played by those who aren't neurodivergent. That's in a way a conflict of interest, but then again, for me personally, it's helpful to understand the different, I would say, quirks, different ways
Yeah.
of neurodivergence showing up.
Yeah.
It's helpful to see that from a different perspective and take away whatever I feel is valuable for me. So I'm now on a binge watching tour of The Good Doctor, which
Oh,
is
okay. Yeah. Yeah.
a main character who is a doctor, but he has autism.
Yes.
He has a ASD, so autism spectrum
Spectrum disorder.
disorder.
Yeah.
And it shows up in different ways. And me watching this series, it humanizes how I see ASD, people with ASD. I see the different characters being played out, and it's helpful for me as well. So I can
Great.
see Emmanuel. Good morning, Emmanuel, and thank you. I hope that you are going to watch it later. So thank you for sharing your comments. And also, if you have any comments about this topic, right, please let us know. We are doing this conversation for you, or if you want to watch this later, that's totally fine. You can share your comments at every time, but please let us know because I'm curious about the questions that you may have. So, what else can we say about neurodiversity, the state of neurodiversity at work?
Yeah, interesting. That question actually throws me because my brain looks at the word state and goes, huh? What is she meaning? So it's interesting how my brain, I call it, it just short circuits and suddenly, and then when I calm down, and it's the other thing I've now taught myself, calm down.
Yeah,
Say, okay,
yeah.
what are you saying? Neurodiversity at work? Let me tell you a couple of things I'm
Mhm,
noticing in
mhm.
my clients. So I love this.
Yeah.
So clients come to me, corporates come to me. I love this new job that's around now called community manager. Have you heard of that?
Mm,
And
yeah.
it's like, oh, what's your job? To make sure everybody in at work is doing well.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
they're wonderful. It's been great. So then they do surveys at work. And the two clients I've worked with recently, the staff, the employees said, we want to know more about neurodiversity because
Exactly,
some people
exactly.
think, I know, even if they're diagnosed or
Yeah,
undiagnosed, I know
yeah.
that I'm different. I can sense it. So I kind of want to know how to navigate this workforce and thrive. Or they don't even know what they want to know. And the other sense, there's a lot of us in this team don't quite, I want to know more. And I just love that people are curious and the word is out there and this
Mhm,
desire to learn. So that's great. And then again, it's about, for me, it's about not, oh, what can we do to help you poor things? Because getting back to the
Yeah,
story,
exactly.
we're normal as well, but on a different kind of normal. Our brains are wired differently. And it's about this beautiful conversation and understanding, because then we all are enriched by that, because it's not so black and white. And as you're saying, you may have ADHD or be on the spectrum, but not everyone is the same. It depends on what's happened in your, how your brain is. That's one thing. But also you've got your own personality. And I want to really stress, we are not just that label. That label
No,
is
no.
information to help us learn how to run our brain better.
Yeah, and
So
also what I wanted to add, right? I've been doing training together with Mary Jane, Anita, and Rodney as well,
yeah,
where we are providing virtual reality training where people can literally walk a mile in somebody else's shoes.
yeah,
And the reason why I'm saying that is there's so much unknown when it comes to the different diversity layers. And until you experience it, you can see the different experiences, but also the different hidden exclusion, right? The microaggression, the good intentions gone bad, how we are excluding it, but how we are excluding people, even though we don't mean to exclude
yes,
people. And there are different feedback that we got, different comments that we got, where a few people shared that based upon this training that they went back to their psychologist and got a better diagnosis. There was
ah,
one woman even that mentioned that she was dealing with a burnout related to
yeah,
her having ADHD.
yeah,
And before this training, she was, let's say before this training, she didn't receive the help that she needed. She was misdiagnosed. But now that she knew how to tackle it and how to see that, and also share her experiences based upon what she noticed throughout this movie, this experience, she was now being able to get the help that she needed. So I would always say, listen to your gut, right? Listen to your gut.
yeah,
But in a way, I would also say that there's so much unknown about neurodiversity. It's been labeled like we don't socialize. I mean, when you look at the two of us,
mhm,
there are sometimes reasons why I don't end up at a Friday, afternoon gathering, because to me it's too much. But I'm very social. I'm very interactive. I can interact with people, but there is a time and place to interact with people where I can get energy, right? So a while ago, I think I shared an image of a social battery, that it's important for us to take care of our social battery. The moment that more people are involved, my battery is decreasing. So sometimes I don't go to certain events. Maybe I have to, but I'm just
yeah,
like weighing the options, like, okay, where's my energy for this week? If my energy is low, you are not going to see me. And also there are different criteria that I put into account. If there is a lack of diversity, you are not going to see me. But that's a whole other topic.
yeah, that's a
Yeah.
whole other stuff. Yeah, but again, it comes back to that thing of knowing yourself and respecting
Yeah.
yourself. And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
if we can have a conversation and people can understand, and I think by doing these neurodiversity trainings, awareness raising,
Yeah.
etc.,
Yeah.
people have the language that they're able to
Mhm.
communicate better together. And you can
True.
say, oh, I was going to come to this afternoon drink or whatever, but
Yeah.
actually I can't now. And I realize,
Yeah.
because if you force yourself, you're not going to be in a psychologically safe space. You're going to,
Mhm.
it won't be good. And then people can go, yep, totally understand, rather than going,
Yeah.
oh, why isn't she joining? You know,
Yeah, you're a party pooper.
you're a
You're a
party
party
pooper.
pooper.
And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that. I've had people in my life that get it. And when you feel safe to express who you really are,
Mhm.
and then or you might go into a situation and feel safe to do that. But anyway, I was thinking we might need to get some other things out today. You
Yes.
mentioned
Yes. Yes.
two things I just wanted to come back on. The female thing. Yes, definitely
Mhm.
that we get missed as little girls because there's all this socializing of what it should be.
Yeah.
There is no way on God's earth I would have thought I would be ADHD because
Yeah.
because it doesn't fit the stereotype. And then when she
But
started,
also the majority of the research is done for
exactly,
men,
was
for boys.
exactly. And
Yeah.
there's a huge push now that we're doing more, getting more into the female manifestation and how our hormones affect us, etc.
Yeah.
But
Me too.
women, little girls daydream. And
Yeah.
I spent my entire school years
Yeah.
daydreaming the whole way through and keeping myself entertained. And
You
she was,
mentioned something about this, right? Also
oh yeah,
doing this.
you've got no, I'm sitting on my hands right now to stop myself from playing with my hair. So I sat in school for my entire life doing this. Why? Because, we, as ADHD, I'm going to talk about ADHD, we can't tolerate boredom. And when you're bored, you've got to fidget, you've got to, or even get the energy out. So
Yeah.
now, as an adult, I've learned how distracting that is. And I've got to be really mindful, which again,
Mhm.
energy depleting, because while I'm, say, doing something, there's this whole other thing happening where I'm having to self-control, self-manage, be mindful of my environment. But then there's the brain. What did you call it before when you had these great ideas? You just exploding when your brain's exploding. Like
Happening. Idea storms. That's
ideas.
how I build. Yeah.
You have the
Yeah.
best language and the best way of describing things. It is like an idea storm. Our brains are firing off all the time.
Yeah.
So it can be quite exhausting. And
Yeah.
that then I get, so sorry, finish the thought about the females is that they will often be with all this overwhelm and living like this all the time, that you will then be diagnosed with depression or anxiety. And there is but then they're trying to look at that and missing the core issue. First,
Yeah.
if you can work on the ADHD or
Mhm.
autism, and
Yeah.
then you can work on that. And so that's why it's great that we're having these conversations and spreading the word, because we need to let women know that this is how it could be. The other thing, burnout.
And it shows up in different ways, right? Because looking at the question for what are the challenges that
Yeah.
neurodivergent people face in a workplace? And I'll start with personally for me, I have worked in environments where it wasn't bright as my room is bright right now. So I felt depleted based upon the lighting or the lack of lighting. There wasn't a lot of green in the workplace, so
Yeah.
I felt depleted. I felt like I'm missing oxygen in the workplace.
Yes.
And luckily now there are more offices, buildings, taking into the account the lighting, the acoustic, that part, the acoustic part.
Absolute for me too. Yeah.
Having a space where people can have their private conversations without that one person or maybe two people in the open office hijacking everybody's attention. That
Yes.
that was annoying. Annoying.
Mhm.
Yes.
So would that have been ADHD person hijacking everyone's attention, perhaps?
I don't know. I don't know, but I felt really annoyed and it let's say that on those moments, especially when my misophonia is showing
Yeah.
up, my inner Hulk shows up.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's it. Because I withdraw.
Yeah.
I
I also
completely.
withdraw in my way, but in the meantime, in my brain is like, why are you doing this? It's annoying and it's causing me to not be as productive as I should be, right? I
Yeah.
need
Of
to focus
course.
on this. But
Yeah.
then again, this person's conversation is taking away everybody's attention, everybody's focus by having that conversation about, well, I went out and I did this, yada, 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 whilst that conversation was meant for a smaller group. And there are
Mhm.
spaces where you can have that conversation. Sometimes it's not needed to hijack the whole workforce just because you did something. Yeah.
Exactly. And so in my work, it's like helping both parties. Like someone might have a word, or a manager might have a word to that
Mhm.
person and say, are
Yeah.
you aware? Like I'm thinking, let's say a meeting. You're going into a meeting and there's one person bursts in the door late and sorry, everyone, sorry. And it's they're always late. They're always exactly the same amount of time late. You've started, they disrupt. It's a drama. You feel this energy drama. And so there's two things that I want to do in my work is help, say, the manager or a colleague speak to that person aside and say, are you aware that your behavior, and learn how to say that in a respectful way and an exploratory way together. Are you aware that behavior is doing that to the room? And how could I help you get to the meeting on time? Could we buddy up? Could we come up with some, brain hacks, tricks? And also get the, so let's say ADHD person to say, oh, goodness, I had no idea. And here's what I need. Can you guys help me to shut up if I'm dominating the conversation? Together, you figure out respectful ways to do that, and kind ways. And this is what I want, that sometimes I've left a situation, I'm like, why didn't anybody shut me up? I'm just so embarrassed that I was like a runaway train. So when you know these kinds of things, you think, oh, she needs help here because she's stuck. And this compassion and caring then it comes with this learning together. And sometimes with ADHD, people think, oh, they're so centered. Pardon?
And it is a journey that you should take together, right? It's about unlocking empathy where you meet each other in the middle so that you can support each other, because you need the colleague and the colleague needs also his other team members, right? So I'm noticing that.
Yeah. The impact is positive. So there's a win-win for both. You both feel good because you've helped each other. And it's, that empathy, compassion, respect, and through understanding, not you're this, you're that, and stuck, and I'm going to stick my way. We have to work together in teams, in departments, and whatever you want to do at home.
And just because somebody is neurodivergent doesn't mean that they get, a whole pass of making mistakes or hurting other people, right?
No, and this is a little...
Is being human and respectful towards each other, whereas the neurodivergent person also needs to come up and show up with empathy, right? Yeah.
That's right. And to just, again, understand yourself and your impact on those in that environment, because we're thrown together, we choose our friends, etc. But at work, you get what you're given, and it's about learning to work together and get results better together. So this kind of kindness is really positive. You see results. Oh, and I had another thought, but it's gone out of my head. I don't know. Keep talking.
So recognized it.
Yeah, totally.
I wanted to bring in this question. So how can organizations support their neurodivergent people? I mean, you mentioned providing awareness, providing training, providing help of having that conversation one-on-one, but what else can they do?
And before I forget it, lots of people want to help in any of these fields. You would come across as well. And what they forget to do is don't think for yourself what might work. Ask the people themselves.
Yeah, do you need help? Yeah.
No, but how can we make this a better workplace, a workforce? How can we enable you to thrive? Because we know you have these amazing skills. We need your talents. And what can we do to make this a great workspace place for people?
Exactly.
And always ask. And the two companies I mentioned before, what was funny is that they suddenly woke up and heard, fantastic new offices, spent a lot of money redecorating, but the lights were wrong. And then the ASD people said, listen, that is, we can't use those rooms because the lights are just wrong. And that was interesting. Another group had said, and the noise, the kitchen's just down there. It's all open and fabulous. But as soon as it's getting close to lunchtime, totally can't concentrate.
Misophonia acting up. That's the misophonia acting up.
Really,
yeah,
it's huge. And I've got a bit of that, but not to the extent you have. But I know it's saying, and all these sorts of things. Open plan. Oh my goodness. I can't work in that. That's just
nightmare. I mean, I'm not bashing real estate. I've worked within real estate. I'm not bashing, but there should be a balance between open
Yeah.
workspace and some silence room, or some rooms where you
Yeah.
can have a conversation in all
Yeah.
peaceness,
And
and
modern organizations,
some
yeah, they're much more attentive to this sort of stuff, the new
true, true.
ways
But
of reading.
until somebody comes by that is neurodivergent, they don't know. And oftentimes, designing these office spaces is not done with the neurodivergent mind in the back end, and that's a missed opportunity. And also, when it comes to accessibility, right? Because we are talking about accessibility of a hidden disability, of
Yes.
an invisible disability as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. True. And then, so that, what was the question? What can organizations do?
To support
Um,
their neurodivergent people.
and there's the other, yeah, I think knowledge is important, opening up the conversation and getting in help and support. And then, and things like what I do, having, there's there's the discussion, opening up. And what I found was wonderful, having all these two sides of the coin in one room. It was so enlightening for everybody, and your heart
Mhm.
just warms with the seeing this recognition and understanding. We were talking about stimming with
Yeah.
autism spectrum disorder, and of course, as an adult, you might learn to hide these sorts of things. And this girl said,
Mhm.
I do this with my toes in my shoes
Yeah,
all day long
yeah,
to release energy and self-soothe.
yeah.
And then other people are fascinated by that, and oh, this understanding that was in the room was great.
And
So
other people, your colleague might be wearing a headphone, right? Sometimes
yeah,
people see people wearing a headphone in the office or at other places as a disrespect. No, it's
yeah,
disrespectful for you to remove those headphones because you don't realize that these headphones, these noise canceling headphones, are a must-have to recharge energy and also to focus on work as well. Yeah.
absolutely. And then there's things like, so this a friend of mine goes to work and she wants to get there early to get her desk because it's a hot
Yeah.
desk
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
the latest fad. But I know we are quite territorial, all of us as human beings, and we kind of like our own space and we find a spot that works for us. And so this thing that, if you've got ASD, you need to sit there, and maybe you need to not be in where the people are walking past all day long, because that will distract you. And if you know someone has a special spot to sit, don't take
Mhm.
that spot. Um,
Yeah.
just to be funny, if you don't mind where you sit, but sort of things like that, be sensitive and aware, and speak out and say, look, I really need to sit in this corner because that's the only way I can
Yeah.
focus.
True.
Respecting others' thoughts on that. And I was thinking about or ADHD, and thinking about,
Mhm.
gosh, because we often, it's sort of, I find these conversations always going to the ASD part. What do ADHDs need? And
Yeah.
something I find, you talked about burnout before. A lot of my clients have had burnout, and it's like, yeah, we're too enthusiastic. We've got too many ideas going on. We get involved in too many initiatives. We're the ones that, oh yeah, I'll help out. Oh, that's a great new thing. We love new and novelty, but we take on too much. And it's almost like, well, how could a manager or a colleague think, hang on, she's involved in three things. If she gets involved in this latest initiative, where is she going to fit that in and help the ADHD evaluate how much time in a day? Here's your normal work. Here's all the new projects. Can't really see how that would fit in time-wise, because we know ADHDers have no real sense of time and how much can be done in a certain period. And I was thinking back to,
You're lost in a whole time loop where you think that you have a whole day, but before you turn around, it's already there, it's already gone, and I'm just like bummed that my day is already away. And
and
I
you beat
get that.
yourself up. Yeah. Yeah. Beat yourself up
Yeah.
because you didn't get it done. Okay, I said to my husband once, who is so not like me, I was just having a meltdown, and I said, why? What? This is years ago. What is going wrong? Have a look at my diary. What is wrong with my diary today? Within 2 seconds, without even properly looking at what I'd planned for the day, he said, you've planned an entire month's work for one day. And that's why you're in overwhelm and you are just frozen. And that was such a turning point. And the other thing, what I'm doing now is starting to look at people, say, like him, that are good at some of this and trying to understand how do their brains look at time, how do they work? Because we're pretty smart, right? So we can easily pick up good ideas, try them on the size, adapt them to our particular brain wiring. Yeah, and things have improved a lot. But I've always got to be watchful of, I'll never, that ADHD enthusiasm of, yeah, let's do that. That's a great initiative. And you were describing.
Let's cram
yes.
a 6 months preparation of a virtual summit into 3 months. That's something that
Exactly. And as you said, you can see everything. I can do that. I can see the entire thing. And it looks, wow, we could do that. Except when it comes to execution, suddenly you realize how much work there is.
You need
involved.
10 people execute
or
some
20,
of it.
or 20, exactly. And we thought we could just, I don't know. So it'd be great at work if there were people aware of that, or say your manager or your team lead, that you had an agreement. Again, you can't make assumptions about people, but you could start to learn about some of the traits and together come up with an agreement. Yeah, I would love it if you see me going off some of these pitfalls, that you sit me down and together we have a talk about it, because I won't see it, but I give you permission to help me see it. Now, what I do with that information is my business. I can just say, yeah, I'm not listening, or thanks very much, or yes, thanks very much. But it's about finding allies as well within the team, that trusted allies that you can, because they understand better and they can be your help to dial it back a little bit, because these sorts of things would be helpful. So what else what could organizations do at the organizational level? I think managers need to be aware.
I've been providing, consulting or advice for setting up ERGs, employee resource groups. There are some companies that provide employee resource groups where every month or once per 2 months, they set up events to deepen their understanding, where allies and those who are neurodivergent are joining and having a conversation about the different scenarios, the different types of neurodiversity, how it shows up, having that open and safe space where they can discuss things that can be improved in a workplace, so that it makes it much more pleasant for them to interact with each other at work.
Exactly. Yeah, that's good. And it's knowledge, it's having safe space to share, discuss, and listening to your people. Because,
exactly.
Yeah.
Our final question, because 2030 is almost coming.
No way! We only just started our conversation. Wish for 2030. Okay.
Yeah, for 2030 when it comes to humanizing the workplace and neurodiversity.
Oh my goodness, my brain just explodes, and I don't, I start analyzing every word there and don't know what to say. My wish is that, I think I've said it a number of times already, is that people just start to learn a bit more about the human mind and how we work, and that we are all a bit quirky in our own way, and that we're compassionate. The other thing I do want to say, that something that I think is a bit missing, we're busy with organizations, but what about universities? What about high schools?
Ooh, yes, schools as well.
And schools. So there's a lot with children, but when it goes into high school, a lot of that is not there. And I was a primary school teacher, so I'm kind of, school is a bit of my thing, and I've also taught at some universities here in Amsterdam. And when I see some of the things that are done to young people purely through ignorance of the lecturers, no offense to lecturers, but if I could teach you a little bit of this and you picked up some of that, you'd see it in the students there, you would prevent a lot of students from failing and dropping out. If I could help in that field to open their minds, they could have a massive impact and preventing that. And of course, I just hope that, we all start to enjoy the amazing brains that we have and how interesting they are and how we can utilize and help people thrive, because then we all benefit. The world where we're going with the world of work, automation, machines can do all that. We need these amazing brains in the workforce. And so we have to make that a welcoming place to be in and enable people to do their work to their best.
Yeah,
Speak.
because I'm just looking at facts that many people who are neurodivergent don't have a job. And I just wanted to see how many, what the facts are. But it's saddening that people don't realize what kind of a huge benefit they can be for the company as well.
And I wanted something on that is concerning me is I feel there's an issue with the whole recruitment process. And the more that is automated and people get excited, yeah, we've got this tool, I think you really need to talk to people, and that's the humanizing. We're not algorithms. If you want great, amazing staff, you need to
Yeah.
speak to the people, because if you're ticking boxes, you are just going to get robots. But if you
Yeah.
really, and you have to look at what are in your advertisements and your requirements. They all say you must be a great team player. Well, maybe that's not
No.
necessary to
Culture
that
add,
level.
culture add, culture instead of culture fit. Yeah.
Exactly. And maybe people don't even think what that means. And
Yeah.
do I really yeah, and it can be turning off. And the other thing is, say there's some great stuff, maybe I need to find it for you and send it, about, if you're neurodiverse, or send the questions up front and allow them to prepare, allow them
Yeah.
da 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 da. And most people would be thinking, oh, why would I tell them? They'll think up the best answers. But in
Mhm.
an interview, certain brains freeze up and cannot show their true self. I don't test well. If I'm in an exam situation, I will mess it up. Yet thought I was dumb all my life, but I'm not. But I
Yeah.
just don't test well because of that panic, and my brain freezes. So
But
suddenly,
also that's something similar that I have, that I would rather engage in a conversation than
yes,
doing a test. Also, my dyslexia shows up in a test, and
yes,
we have to
yes,
question ourselves, our assessments, are they inclusive? They are not. To my understanding, they are not, and they only capture a moment. And if I am not performing in my best state because of my neurodiversity, then you're missing out on something, someone unique that is offering uniqueness to the table. So
exactly.
we have to re-examine our assessments needed today in this day of
Exactly,
time.
and the recruitment thing. So if you really want rich
Yeah,
talent,
yeah,
let's
yeah,
let's face it, the real leaps of the new great idea, the innovation, the suddenly seeing a new way through to something, they don't come from robotically everyone being the same. They come
mhm,
from these unique, distinct minds that see things
yeah,
differently. And so
yeah,
if we want to be, successful as a company, you need these unique people in. But how can you find them if your recruitment selection process is about algorithms and ticking boxes? Because we're not going to
yeah.
fit those
Whole
boxes.
other conversation.
It totally is. So don't get me ranting, but oh my God, we've got so much more to contribute. And as usual, a joy speaking to you. Hey, what's your wish for
Likewise.
2030? What's your, right, 1 minute. What's your wish for 2030?
For me, when it comes to this topic, neurodiversity, it needs to be not a mystery anymore in the workplace. It's important that every workplace pays attention to this topic, to this aspect, and engage and host different training, not only online but also offline training,
Yes,
and have safe spaces where people can have a conversation about this. I understand that the bigger the company is, that it's easier for them to create an employee resource. If your company does not have an employee resource group, then you're missing out on amazing talent to raise
yes.
awareness. And if you don't have it, then set up set up training, set up events where people can learn more about this. That's what I hope. I'm still on this journey. It feels like I'm coming out of the closet when it comes to neurodiversity. I'm still on this journey, and I'm learning a lot through the training that I'm providing and the participants, but also learning a lot through conversations like these as well. So thank you, Jacinta, for
It is
today.
absolutely an honor, and thank you for inviting me here. Yes,
Mhm, mhm.
let's spread the
Until
word.
next time, next week.
Until next time, have a great weekend.
You too. Bye. Next week I'll be live again. I will be having a conversation with about HR tech. I will post it later today online so that you can see who my guest speaker will be. But I'm really excited. Until next time. Bye.
Bye.